Hi there, everyone. Greg Marchand here. Welcome to another episode of the Virtual Instructor-Led Training Program brought to you by the Service Sales Academy. This episode, we're going to talk about employee onboarding. Now, look, before we get going, I hate the term onboarding. I just couldn't invent a different one. So I guess I wasn't creative enough. But what are we talking about? We're talking about when you hire an employee, how do we bring them into your organization and set them and yourselves up for success? It really matters. And don't ever think that it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, many times we'll hire an employee, we'll show them where they sit, where they stand, where the bathroom is, and we'll turn them loose. Maybe if it's a service advisor, we'll show them how to fire up the computer and write the first repair order, or we'll just have them watch me for the first couple of days. It matters. Onboarding matters. Because if you get the employee off to the right start, then it's going to mean higher employee satisfaction, more success. They'll stick around. Statistically, they've shown for years now that the first 30 days of an employee's experience within a new organization is everything. If they love those first 30 days, you've got them hooked and they're likely to stick around. Bringing them in a structured, intentional manner will set a tone and it will save you pain. We don't want a ton of turnover. Some of you guys have it, some of you guys don't have it. It's painful to go find somebody, first of all, right? And then to go through the interview process and then to hire them. And then in the first 30 days discover, they got a bad attitude, or they spend all their time on Facebook, or whatever it might be. If we have a formal onboarding process, we can change all of that. Good hiring makes this easier, okay? Now, remember, I think in the interviewing skills video, go watch it. I say always be hiring. Always be hiring. You're always looking for good people. It puts gentle pressure on the people you have to perform well. And worst case, you find the right person, but you got no space for them. At least you have their phone number and you know they exist on the planet. Okay? Always be hiring. Watch that interviewing skills video. And look, if you're lucky enough to hire somebody with some level of experience in a shop like yours with systems like yours, then onboarding gets really easy. But you still need a formal process for it. Have a plan. Have goals, set goals, and have priorities. You've got to understand what all of this means. Before you bring on a new employee, you've got to have a plan for bringing them on board. You've got to have a plan for training them, for getting them comfortable, for making it a good experience for them. You see, unfortunately, when we talk about customers and the way many of us in the industry view customers, it's a customer. Because of that customer, I have to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C. They're going to be upset about this. That's going to go wrong. We don't always see the customer as, hey, great to see you again, Mrs. Smith. What can we do for you today? I am so happy we have another customer. This is fantastic. She might spend $29 today, but she spent $1,299 2 months ago. She's awesome. We do the same thing with employees. We look at an employee and we go, yeah, good employees are hard to find. I got one. Yeah, I don't think they're going to work out though. I don't like the way they dress. I don't like the words they use when they're talking to a customer. You know what? That's because we didn't set the expectation. That's because we didn't have a structured plan. We didn't set them up with goals. We didn't let them know what priorities were. We didn't communicate. We expected them to be just like us and do things just like us. You got to have a plan. The plan helps the organization know what to expect, as well as what the new hire can expect and what we want them to expect. It helps everybody. The plan should have priorities. It should have goals. It should have certain milestones. All right, let's go into this in a structured way. 30, 60, 90 days. Let's evaluate. Let's have goals for 30, 60, and 90 days. Let's have milestones for those 30, 60, and 90 days. Let's make this formal and not accidental. Think about when you're building a plan, think about your business. What aspects of your business are important? What aspects of your business are going to affect this new employee in terms of what's going to be the biggest challenge, what's going to be the easiest part, what's going to be the biggest question they may have. You don't want to rush the process, because if we rush it, we overwhelm, we miss something, and the employee might have not so awesome of an experience. Technicians, it's a little bit easier, because as a technician, I can focus on the car. The car I know. This is what I've done. This is what I've done for, 40 years now, or 10 years, or 2 years. The car I know. The organization, the people I don't know. The processes I don't know. Technicians don't get as bogged down in process as service advisors do, or receptionists do, or certain admins do. Everybody still has to have an understanding of every aspect of the business, because it helps them do the job, it helps them acclimate, and it helps them communicate better. Don't rush the process. Let the person watch everybody. Let them see what the technicians do. Let them see what the receptionist does. Let them listen to the person making the follow-up phone calls. It's all going to build a better understanding, no matter what their ultimate responsibilities are. They have to understand the whole process. They have to understand what those technicians do, what that workflow looks like. Gives them a better word track when they're on the phone with a customer. Helps them sell more work. All right, so don't rush the process. Make sure you incorporate every aspect of the business in this onboarding process. So think about this for a rough plan structure, all right? Reach out to that new employee. You've made a job offer to them. See the interviewing skills and the hiring videos, okay? Reach out to the new employee. Let them know what to expect on the first day. Maybe have a service manager give them a call, or have a service advisor give them a call and say, hey, this is Johnny XYZ Automotive. I'm going to be working with you. I just want to say welcome to the organization. We're looking forward to seeing you on Monday, and just wanted to give you a heads up as to what you can expect. Have them come in for lunch and just do a lunch meeting just to make introductions, maybe. All right, to slowly get their feet wet, because you join a new organization, that first day can be a nightmare. That first day can be so overwhelming, and you don't want that. You don't want that, okay? Now, you might be looking at me going, yeah, but Greg, that's our business, man. That's just the way our shop works. Yeah, all right, I get that. But do you want to keep an employee? Do you want a good employee? Or do you want to go through this whole process again 4 more times this year? If you can make it simpler for them, if you can break it into smaller pieces, invite them to breakfast for introductions, have them come in for an hour to do a little bit of paperwork and make introductions, make it a little more positive and a little more fun, they're going to come into that first day with a little higher expectation, with a little more positivity, if you will. Because look, changing jobs sometimes is a good thing. Make the first day memorable in a good way, not a bad way. All right, don't throw them to the wolves. Whether you're wolves or technicians or customers, all right? They could be either, I know, but don't make that first day, hey, you got to pay your dues, I did. No. Don't just throw them to the wolves. Make the first day memorable, all right? And look, you can Google this stuff, and you'll find crazy stuff that, corporations do, that Twitter does and Amazon does and all this business. I'm not asking you to get crazy. I'm just asking you to make it positive. All right, if you can set them up for some sort of success that first day, that'd be a really good thing. If you can make the first day easier and positive, it would be a really good thing. Because just like customers come into the service environment with a lot of anxiety, and it's harder to sell to the customer because of the customer's anxiety, that new employee is the same thing. They come into it and they get tossed to the wolves, they get tossed into a chaotic environment. They can have a lot of anxiety. Are they going to like me? Am I going to figure out the computer system? Am I going to be able to answer the phone? How many phone calls do they get around here? These technicians are yelling all the time. I don't understand it. What are these noises? That anxiety keeps them from learning. And look, I've run into it recently. There was so much anxiety with a relatively new employee. This person had been there 4 to 6 months. They had so much anxiety just because of the way one of the owners dealt with them. They couldn't do their job. And I walk in one day with we're going to fire this person. We got to let them go. They can't do the job. And I said, well, hold on, because they got a skill set nobody else in this place has. So do we just want to throw that away, or do we want to get to the bottom of this? Turns out there were multiple challenges. There were learning challenges. There were anxiety challenges. There were a whole. We changed the person they report to. We changed the way the communication goes. Hey, a year later, they're still there and they're a rock star. Okay? Don't just throw them to the wolves. Set them up for success. Understand that person. Understand how that person learns. Reduce the anxiety. They're going to learn faster. That first day, give them a tour. Make the first day interesting. Make the first day about learning. Don't make the first day about buckling down and doing the job. Schedule a breakfast or lunch if you haven't already, so that they meet everybody. Or maybe they meet everybody for a second time. Because the first time, there was anxiety. Yeah, there was food. I didn't eat a whole lot of food because I was so nervous. I didn't know if these people were going to like me. I didn't know if I was going to remember their names. I didn't know, they're all staring at me. I'm a stranger here. The second lunch, there's less anxiety. Look, I see this in classes. Believe it or not, in instructor-led classes that I teach, if I go in for the first time and nobody knows me, they do that. They'll listen. Some people will interact, but it's cool. It's cool. It's not warm. It's cool. I go in a second time, even just a second night, the next night, or a second class 3 months later. It's an entirely different environment. Now they know me. We have some common something there. All right? You can do the same thing for a new employee. First introductions, and then the first day, hey, let's bring lunch again. Let's meet everybody again. You remember Mark. You remember Susan. You remember. So, Susan, tell us about your primary function here. Tell us about what you like best about this, or tell us about your favorite customer. Make it positive. All right? When they show up on the first day, have their email already created, have their Slack logins already created, have their voicemail set up, have everything ready to go. Because that sends a message to them. That sends a message, we got our ducks in a row. This is how we do things at XYZ Automotive. We got it together. We're not trying to piece this together. We're not trying to get through every day. We know what we're doing here. All right. It also helps to keep things simple. All right. That first day, you don't want it to be overwhelming. You want them to begin to get a feel for where things are and who does what, but still it's going to be overwhelming because the temptation is to throw so much information at the person. Let them get acclimated, but also set a tone. Show them that you got your stuff together, and that's the expectation for them. Focus on observing those basic processes that first day. All right, just, and tell them, say this to them. Here's my expectation for you today. I just want you to get comfortable. I want you to, learn some names, see where things are, watch how we greet customers, watch how we handle the quality control process, watch how we handle parking the cars, listen to the dispatch conversations, take a look at the tablet, just high level stuff. What part vendors do we use? Advanced Auto Parts. What part vendors do we use? Where do we call for certain things? But look, I'm not going to quiz you on it. All right? It's mostly just observation. Unless that new hire is really experienced, then you can build on that. Great. But you better know your new hire first. All right? But just they got to get comfortable even if they have experience. It's all new to them. Don't have real high expectations that first day, that first week. Have a structure. The more structure you can provide as part of this onboarding process, the better it's going to be for everything. So the pre first day sets a tone, the first day sets a tone. But then from that first day on, we're going to have some goals, some milestones, some priorities. It's more important for us to understand our priorities in terms of what we need this person to be able to do and do well than it is for them necessarily. It's more important for them to have goals and milestones and know what the expectations are for attaining those. And the more structure you have, the fewer bad habits you're going to see. I've seen people come into an environment where there was no onboarding structure. They saw chaos. They perceived chaos. They perceived people just kind of flying by the seat of their pants, and so that's what they did. What they didn't realize was that there was more of a process in there. It's just those individuals had been there for 15 years, and it was just natural to them. And so this person developed all kinds of horribly bad habits because they perceived that this was just chaos, and all right, I'll create my own chaos. You want to assign activities at specific times, sometimes with specific people. Plan out that first week or two. Plan out every hour or every 2-hour segment of their day. Spend 2 hours with the parts guy. Spend 2 hours with the receptionist. Spend 2 hours with this service advisor. Spend 2 hours with that service advisor. Spend 2 hours out in the shop with the shop foreman or whoever you call your shop foreman. Spend an hour doing some paperwork in the office. Break these things up. The smaller pieces you break it up, I shouldn't say that, right? Because we don't want too many small pieces because that can be overwhelming. But if you can break an 8-hour day into 4 2-hour segments, and they're doing something specific for each of those 2 hours, they're going to remember more, they're going to learn more than if you just throw a ton of stuff at them every 5 minutes or every 30 minutes or every hour or move them around real fast. We as humans need time to assimilate. Yeah, some people are fast learners. Some people are slow learners. Sometimes that new hire, that new employee, you're not feeding them this stuff in a way that they learn best, and you don't even know that. Maybe there's a learning disability never came up in the hiring process. Probably didn't come up in the hiring process. All right, you can't really ask about that stuff. Not legal. and maybe they're willing to say something to you, maybe not. And so it takes time. So break this down into small chunks, but I don't mean small time chunks. I mean smaller activities with specific outcomes desired. All right. That day one sample plan. Day one, 7:30, attend breakfast with the owner manager to discuss the day. Maybe it's everybody, or maybe it's just the owner and the manager. All right. And that's going to go on for an hour. At 8:30, we're going to go back to the shop. We're going to give you a tour of the shop. And we're going to do, a little bit of HR paperwork. Look, sometimes, depending on how well-rounded your HR program is, sometimes there's a lot of paperwork. In other shops, there ain't much. Okay, so that might depend. Maybe that's 10 minutes. Maybe that's, an hour. I don't know what that looks like. But from 10 to 12, we're going to shadow Tom at the service counter. And here's what I want you to observe. How do we greet customers? What's the process for writing the repair order? You don't have to write the repair order. Just watch him write it. Watch what information he gathers and how he gathers that information. Okay? And then watch the dispatch process. And if you write this down, all right, if you write down the plan for day one and be specific about what outcomes you want, now you show that to Tom in our example here. Now Tom knows, better have my act together because I got to be doing this well, I guess. Oh man, now I got to actually greet the customer today. Or I got to put the VIN on the repair order. Okay, but it helps everybody. It helps your existing employee know what to show them and what to talk to them about instead of leaving it wide open. Because folks, you don't employ trainers, right? Your service advisors are service advisors because they're good at selling. They're good at working in that environment. Doesn't mean they're good at teaching. And so if you just leave it up to them, I don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get. Be specific. If you need help with it, call me. I'll be more than happy to help you out with this. I don't know your specific shop, so I can't give you a specific plan. But I'll be more than happy to help you out with it. Day two. You come in at 7:30, observe the opening procedures. So we went to breakfast first day. Don't expect that every day. 7:30 tomorrow morning, come in, observe what we do to open the place. We gotta, old Harry over there, he gets the compressors turned on, he unlocks the gate, he does this, he does that. I want you to see what it takes to open the shop. Just in case you ever have to do it or there's a challenge with it, we can have a conversation because you know it. All right, so come in and see what we do to start up at the service counter, see where the coffee is kept, see how to run the coffee maker. I mean, these things that we take for granted every day, we don't even think about. At 8 o'clock, again, observe what it's like at 8 o'clock. Yesterday you sat at the service counter from 10 to 12. We're a little bit slower then, and that's why I had you do that then. so that you could focus on customer greeting, repair order writing, phone calls, part vendors, advanced auto parts, etc. Okay, now at 8 a.m., it's a different environment. So observe what goes on at 8 a.m. and see how we greet customers, see how we handle that inrush, that influx of customers at 8 a.m. At 9 o'clock, I'm going to have you go over to the owner's office or to a service advisor or whatever it might be, and we're just going to practice writing repair orders so that you can get into the system. You can create some fake repair orders. If I've got a real customer, we can do that, or we use my truck or something. And I just want you to work through just that process of writing a repair order. We'll spend an hour on it and just kind of get you comfortable with that, at least from an initial standpoint. And then at 10 o'clock, we'll send you back to the service counter, and the first service or maintenance operation that comes in, we'll have you write the repair order for that, because you should be able to do that at that point. You'll understand the information you needed from the time you spent with me, and then we'll keep it simple, and we'll have you work through that process. That's not to say they're going to greet the customer. That's not to say that they're going to sell anything to the customer. They're actually going to be the ones to write the repair order, and that's it. And Tom at the service counter can interface with the customer, and the new hire can write the repair order. And have those specific goals. I mean, you can day 3, day 4, day 5. Like I say, do this out for 10 days so that we have specific goals for those first couple of weeks so that we know. Now, along the way, you've got to communicate, right? Because we got to adapt the plan. We got to communicate. What's working? What do you feel like you have a firm hold on? What do you need more practice with? No, what questions do you have? Communicate every single day. Every new hire is going to be different. Some are going to be more outgoing, and some will be faster learners, and they'll all have different experience and different skill levels. You've got to communicate early and often to understand, what do we not need to spend any more time on? What can they just kind of run with? And what do we need to make sure we guide them more and coach them more in? One of the examples I think of is when I became a dealership technician. I'd owned and operated an independent repair shop and went into the dealership world as a production technician. And I will never forget the first day. I was blown away. I had never seen a production environment like that dealership. I was used to having my own shop, and I could work at my own pace, and it was what it was. And then I get into this chaotic environment where there was no onboarding process. I was just asked to show up, and here's your uniform, here's where you get changed, there's your bag, get your tools in here as soon as you can. And I show up, and I don't know anybody, and I'm looking at absolute chaos. And then this big furry fellow with a drive shaft over his shoulder yells at me, "Hey, youngin'," and he waves at me to come join him. And I'm just, what is going on? And the good thing about the big furry fella, who I love to pieces to this day, is that he provided some structure, and he provided that base. Now, he didn't know what skills I had. He didn't know anything about my background. He wasn't part of the hiring process. But what he was really good at was evaluating what's going on and communicating, and handing me a repair order saying, "Here, go pull this in. Do you think you can do that? Or pull this in, open the hood, pop the air cleaner, and wave to me, and I'll be over." And so he would give you just enough to do that he was pretty sure you could do, but then he'd check on you. And he'd make sure that you had it right. There were no assumptions. And once after a few days, he figured out, hey, all right, you know what? This dude may not know this product we're working on, but the dude can turn a wrench, and he can run a voltmeter. So, okay, I'll give him this, I'll give him that, I'll give him this, and I'll push his limits a little bit. But he did that intuitively. I'm asking you to have a formal plan with a lot of communication so that you can figure out where the strengths are, where the weaknesses are, where to spend the time, where not to spend the time. But don't just toss them out there and see if they sink or swim. All right? It's important to start with a plan and then make some adaptations. Have some sort of expectation for those 30 days. By the end of the 30 days, you should be able to do X, Y, Z. By the end of 90 days, you should be able to do 1, 2, 3. All right? Have some sort of performance goal. for the first 30 days or the next 30 days. I prefer to bring them in, and for 30 days, we're just learning. And I expect you to learn this. I expect you to learn that. I expect you to be able to do this after 30 days. I expect this skill set after 30 days. Because for those next 30 days, from 30 to 60, or 31 to 60, you're going to have some goals. You're going to have some performance goals. I'm going to expect a certain number of repair orders to be written. I'm going to expect a certain dollar value in revenue to have brought in. I'm going to expect a certain gross profit level from you. And then we get to 60, and we're going to evaluate that. And we're going to set some goals and priorities for the next 30 days. When we get to 90, we're going to evaluate that. And maybe we do this up to 120 days. All right? All of this is first few days, first week, set a tone, positive tone, set them up for success. That first 30 days is really about setting them up for success, not hitting the ground running, but setting them up for success. And then the next 30 days, let's ease into the running thing. Let's put those skills, let's put all that stuff you spent 30 days figuring out, let's put it to use now. And here's your actual metrics. Here are the metrics we're going to measure you on, because we're going to pay you on this eventually. All right, and the pay plan is probably going to change after 90 days. You know, maybe we're just paying salary for the first 90 days. And then after 90 days, hey, your base salary plus, gross profit incentive, whatever it might be. All right, but here are the goals. Here are the expectations for the next 30 days. And at the end of that, we're going to evaluate. We're going to say, hey, did you hit them? Holy smokes, you hit them. You crushed them. Oh, and by the way, we're going to talk about it every single day for those next 30 days. How you come with those goals? Are you going to hit that metric for this week? How's your gross profit percentage right now? Do you know how to look and see that? All right, where's your revenue at? Do you know how to look and see that? And you coach that every single day. And then you get to that 60-day mark, and we evaluate that, and we set goals for the next 30 days. And if you do this, after 90 days, you're going to have a new hire that doesn't seem like a new hire anymore. They're going to be doing things the way you want them done, and they're going to be productive employees. Whereas if we just throw them to the wolves and take our chances, maybe they have enough skill and enough experience to figure it out, or maybe they don't. And maybe after 90 days, they're gone on their own, or we got rid of them because they weren't worth anything. And now we start the whole process over again. Nobody wants that. Because just in 2 hires, half the year's gone. You'll never hit your year goals. They won't do it like you, though. You got to remember that. I think some of the best advice a friend of mine gave me years ago was hire the best people and get he didn't use heck, but you get the idea, out of their way. You hire the best people, get out of the way. I've said this to shop owner after shop owner. I'll spend a week or two with them, and I'll see, then you got some really good people here. Then go home. Go on vacation. Get out of their way. You're spending too much time and energy and wasting their time and energy trying to make them do it your way. They're not going to. You hired them because of a skill set or because of a certain amount of experience. Don't try to change them. Onboarding is about your process and your organization, not about their wording, their smile, their personality, their personal work habits. That's not what onboarding is about. If after 90 days, 120 days, personal work habits become a problem, okay, they become a problem. And we can coach that now. Don't try to make that person into you. Not the way it's going to be. Set the expectation for the outcome, what you're looking for the outcome. Show them the tools that you use to help them get to that outcome, and then let them go. Let them see what they can do their way. They might be better than anybody you have. They might be better than you. But you got to give them a chance. Hire the best people and get the heck out of their way. Here's some targets, some example targets for those first 30 days. Understand the basic organizational process. Maybe be able to answer the phones and take appointments. I would like that in the first 30 days. Understand how we dispatch. Understand the technician skill sets to know how to dispatch. All right, that's a learning thing. That's going to take at least 30, that'll probably take 120 days to figure out. But you start to understand this stuff. Be able to write an estimate and prioritize a basic courtesy inspection. And I put that in a different color because, you know what, maybe this is going to happen between 30 and 60 days. It can't happen right away. But here are my expectations. This is what I want you to be able to do after 30 days. You'll have some too. The first 60 days, yeah, you ought to be able to write an estimate, and I'm going to set a goal for how many estimates you're going to write. You should be able to prioritize a courtesy inspection if you've got the experience you said you had, right? I want you to be able to write repair orders. I want you to be able to receive most parts. I want you to be able to order most parts. Is it going to be 10, 20% that it's going to be a challenge? Yeah. Based on their experience? Sure. But at least I want you to know who to call and who to talk to and be able to get those parts ordered and be able to receive those parts and get them on a repair order. 60 days? We should be able to do that. 90 days? You should be able to write almost any RO we have, except maybe some of the real complex ones, or maybe for certain fleet customers that have special needs, or what, maybe it's a diesel emission thing that you know nothing about. Okay? You should be able to dispatch work to assign technicians within reason. After 90 days, you should have a feel for who does what and what kind of work goes to who and where. And at 90 days, you should be able to deal with at least 4 ROs a day. Maybe 10 maintenance repair orders, depending on what kind of volume you do. All right, but look, after 90 days, you should be able to handle 4 repair orders, write them, get them to the tech, get it dispatched, write the estimate from the courtesy inspection, order the parts, sell the work to the customer, talk to the technician about it, invoice it. At least 4 a day. Maybe after 90 days we're at 3. It depends on the experience you have. Depends on how fast they learn. But set a target, okay? Set goal targets too. Maybe it's how many appointments you take a day, how many repair orders you write each day, hours sold per RO. There's magic in targets. There's real magic in targets. It gives something. It gives people an idea of where they need to go, where they need to be, and something to strive for. And if it's reasonable, don't set these where your other people are at. All right, make it reasonable. Maybe think about, all right, they should be able to do 4 or whatever's a day, but let's say 3. All right, you want them to have success, because they're going to have this goal, and then they're going to have to figure out, I need to know how to do that, and that to accomplish this goal. So now they got to learn those 4 things to get to this goal. But you want them to get to the goal. You don't want to crush them. We'll crush them later. All right, we'll set a stretch goal later. Right now, the goals are easily acquired. The goals are just to get them to learn certain skills, to do certain things, to get to a certain goal. But we want to have them have success. Without success, they're going to go, I can't do this. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So just, set some goals for your new hire. Have a plan, have a structure, write it down, document it, put it in writing. Write out what goes on before they show up, what's going to go on the first day, all the way through day 10, and then have priorities and targets, milestones for the first 30 days, for the first 60 days, and the first 90 days. All right? Setting those expectations for the new hire and for the people who are going to be working for the new hire makes the system work. Because if I have to work with a new hire and I don't know what you want them to learn, just show them to do what you do. Okay, but I do a lot of things I don't even think about every day. Okay, here you go, Greg. This is what we need them to learn. This is what I need you to show them to do. Hey, all right, now I can check things off. Now I know what you want. Now I know what your expectation is. And they had the same expectation I have that you have. And that's what we're after. Those goals give them something to strive for. And it helps create habits. It helps them figure out what they need to accomplish that goal. Make that onboarding process formal, because it not only creates a great employee and sets them up for success, but it creates a better organization for you. Okay? Check out this video again. Give me a call if you need any help with this stuff. And until next time, keep up the great work and never stop learning.